Standard deviation. To find the standard deviation and variance of a set of values, to apply standard deviation and variance. All right, standard deviation is a measure of how far the numbers in the data set deviate from the mean. So variance and standard deviation are measures showing how much data values deviate from the mean. The Greek letter sigma represents the standard deviation. Sigma squared is the variance. So the mean is the x bar represents the mean. The difference is subtracting each data set minus the mean. Square the difference, find the average of these squares, and then take the square root, and that is the standard deviation. Let's take a look at some data. So we're going to first find the mean by adding up all the values and dividing by how many they have. In our first column is all our data. The second column is the mean. Our third column is when we subtract the two. After we subtract the two, we square them. And after this we square, we sum them. This is called the squares, the sum of the squares of the difference. The variance will be that sum, 11.3, and we're going to divide it by how many values we have, which is 5, and that is the variance, 2.26. The standard deviation is the square root of that number, which is 1.5. So, in conclusion, the mean is 7.4, the variance is 2.26, and the standard deviation is about 1.5. Okay, we're going to use a calculator to find the mean, so we're going to take 19, 15, 20, 22, 21 and put it into our list. And after we do that, we're going to go to one variable stats. You've seen me do that before in prior lessons. And we're going to get our data. And the results are going to yield the mean, which is that first number at the top, and the standard deviation, which has the sigma symbol there. And that sigma symbol is 3.5. Okay, now let's take a look at the standard deviation from this set. Let me go back. So this was a set of hurricane strikes by decade from the years 1851 to 2000. And so now we know that the mean for hurricane strikes is about 17.6, and the standard deviation is 3.5. So if you go over 3.5, you can see how many hurricane strikes we had between the mean and the first deviation, and then the second deviation we had more. So you can see this, the standard deviation is really showing you how far the data is spreading out from the mean. So in conclusion, the data will fall within 2 standard deviations of the mean, which is 17.6. All right, let's take a look at a new set of data. This is the number of hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean. And we are going to find the standard deviation, and then we're going to find out how many standard deviations from the mean do all the values fall. So I'm going to put that in the calculator, and here is the result. And we can see that 7.3 is the mean, and the standard deviation is 3.2. The largest value is 14 hurricanes, and the smallest is 3. So if we go over 3.2, another 3.2, and another 3.2, within 3 standard deviations we'll get all our data, and that's what they're asking. How many standard deviations do we have to be able to get all our data within that? We're going to find the mean, variance, and standard deviation for the data set. We'll put it in our calculator and then get one variable stats, and here we go. So our result is our mean is 11, our standard deviation, which we call SD or sigma, is 4.81, and our variance will be that sigma squared, which is 23.2. Let's take a look at the last data set. They're giving us some information. They're telling us that the standard deviation is 2.29 and that the mean is 21.58. So what they would like us to find is how many standard deviations do we have to go in order to have all of the data fall within that. Again, we put it in a calculator. We don't have to put it in the calculator. All we got to do is write down the mean, the largest value, and the smallest value on each side. And it looks like it's going to take 4 standard deviations in order to include that $27 that we have.